Well, welcome once again to Raising the Consciousness of Humanity, where we share voices of people with positive messages, things that touch on things that inspire us, that really uplift us. And today, I am fortunate to share the platform with a good friend of mine, Keith Grieveldinger. Keith, thank you for being here.
Ron, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much. As we were talking about earlier, I get so inspired by you and just seeing everything that you're doing that it's something that we all need in our life. So I love this. Thanks for the opportunity.
Well, let me do a short intro about you. Number one, Keith is a speaker. He's a coach. He's a social influencer and a sales evangelist. He is the author of Beyond the Slogan. And this is a great book. We'll dive a little bit more into this. How a video a day taught me the winning way. And yeah, a member of the National Speakers Association of Central Florida. So, and I just want to tell my audience, you're going to get a lot out of this today. So listen all the way through. But if you can do what every YouTuber is asking, please like and subscribe and share this video with somebody else out there that you feel will touch them, will help motivate them, help uplift them. So, Keith, let's begin with a little bit about you and your backstory. Like, what is it that inspired you to write this book? What has it inspired you to become a professional speaker, a person that is a sales evangelist, a social media like influencer? What is the thing that drove you to do a video a day? Like, start with where was it in your life that you kind of said, I'm moving in this direction?
Well, the genesis of it all started when I had my first son. My son Adrian, he was born and he had a heart defect and he had to have open heart surgery. And when I found out this news, I kind of spun into a very negative mindset. I was frustrated, I was angry, I was blaming, the world, I was blaming God, and I was so upset. And I happened to be reading a book on, mindset and the power of positive thinking by this guy named Nick Vujicic. And if you know anything about Nick, this guy has gone through so much adversity in his life that he's overcome. And he goes out and he speaks, about faith, about mindset, and the power of positivity all over the world. And he was born with no arms and no legs. And I was trying to blame Nick at that moment in my life because I was reading his book and I was just frustrated with that positive mindset message. And I had ripped out a page of his book, spitting it, threw it in the garbage. And I was like, screw this faith stuff, screw mindset. God, why would you do this to me? This is so unfair. And then as I was looking around, wallowing in my own self-pity, which is natural. We're even today. I'm Mr. Positivity, people will say, but we all go through a negative mindset, and we all go through those opportunities. And as I'm wallowing in my negative mindset, I see the cover of Nick's book, and it's staring at me. And like I said, he has no arms and no legs. I'm like, wow, who am I to wallow in this when he's overcome more than I will have to, or my son, my newborn baby son will have to. And I thought I need to really have a mindset shift and find a way to embrace gratitude. And so I worked at it and I started reading as many books as I could. And that was just really the moment that my life changed. And I realized a difference in me. And so I wanted to share it with the world. I wanted to share it with everybody. And I started a thing called the Win It Minute. And it
Hmm.
was a 1 minute a day video about how you can transform your life with simple things. It's not rocket science or anything complicated. It's just finding little things to be grateful for or a mindset shift. And I wanted to share it with the world. And so that's where I started, I would say. That's where
Hmm.
my journey really began. And that was about 13 years ago, 14 years ago. So I've really been going down a path and it just changed my life.
How's Adrian doing now?
Great. He overcame that. He had the surgery. They fixed a hole in his heart. He's a teenager now. He's 13 years old. He's one tough kid. I will tell you, I learned from that too, is that most children at that age, at that 1 year old age, they're being coddled, and every single time they cry, people are like soothing them. And he was just being passed from nurse to doctor and constantly in and out of hospitals that first year of life. And he's a tough, tough kid. He's like, I mean, it's a little probably too tough for a teenage boy. But he excels in sports because of that tough mindset, because he had to become tough at a young age.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I named him Adrian because my favorite movie of all time is Rocky
Oh
Balboa.
yeah.
And the true story of an underdog just having to fight for everything. And so
Yeah.
I love that. It's like a perfect name for him.
Yo, Adrian.
Oh my God. It's the best.
Yeah.
Every adult our age, it's like funny. There's certain things, and like we're around a similar age, but there's certain things that just elicit a natural response to us. And when anyone meets him, they're always like, "Yo, Adrian!" And he has a brother, Grayson. And he'd always be like, "Why doesn't anyone ever say Yo, Grayson? Why does everyone say Yo, Adrian?" And it's like, "Oh, you'll see someday."
Someday, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, well, they say children actually just childbirth, children, having children, being around children, they open our heart, and that, of course, they had to open his heart,
Yeah.
but I'm sure that moment opened your heart, and as you shared, transformed you in so many ways. Now, before that, if you take me back a little bit before, how many kids do you have now?
Three.
Three. Two boys and one girl?
Two boys and one girl. Yep.
What's your daughter's name?
Addison.
Is she the youngest?
Yes. Yep.
Ah, okay. Well, cool. Well, yeah, before all of this, before even being married, like when you grew up, was there things that inspired you? Did you ever think like, oh, someday I'm going to get on the stage and I'm going to speak, or someday I'm going to write a book? Was there any thought in your growing up?
No, there wasn't. I grew up in on the shores of Lake Michigan in a pretty
Hmm.
simple, easygoing life. And looking back, my parents, they didn't give me anything, and ultimately that's what gave me everything. And I'm so grateful because I remember growing up, some of my friends on the other side of town that have nice stuff, or they go on nice vacations, and we just lived like a happy life. My whole family lived on the same block. My grandparents, my cousins, my aunts and uncles on the same block. And so we were just around family constantly. And it was by all means a just an everyday normal life. But I was just so loved by my parents and taken care of that they didn't have to give me anything, financially or anything to that effect. They just gave me confidence. And I kind of had this ignorance is bliss confidence throughout my childhood and into college that led me to everywhere. I didn't know I shouldn't be doing something, meaning like I shouldn't be applying for this a scholarship, or I shouldn't be joining this class or taking this class or going for this job. I just did it with positivity because I was always just a confident, fun, easygoing guy. And it got me so many places. But more importantly to me, I learned I was surrounded by so many friends. And I was just kind of following in my friends' footsteps. I'm so grateful that I had friends that were leading me in the right direction because I was just following along and just trying to do my best. And it led me down so many paths into meeting people. And all the people that I ever met in my life were like a stepping stone, and they just led me to so many different places. But I never had a plan to be a speaker, coach, or anything. I would say up until the greatest ignorance is bliss moment for me was when I moved to Florida for a job. I didn't know anyone, so I went back to school to get my MBA. And I show up, and you're in this MBA class, and it's about a 26-month process, and you're with the same like 25 people for that whole process, all executive MBAs. I show up, and at the time, NASA was being decommissioned, so there's all these NASA rocket scientists, and I was like, who am I to be like going through this MBA program with these rocket scientists from NASA? And I felt so small, so like just
Yeah.
beyond undereducated from these people. But what happened is I made friends with them, which is one of my greatest skill sets and things that took me. The relationship building is the most powerful thing you can have in your life. So I started to make friends with them. I'm like, oh, these are normal people. They like baseball. They liked the Eagles. They, at the time, there's football teams that they liked that weren't doing well, and they were mad. They would get mad about it, just like anyone. It's like these are normal people. But the greatest seminal moment for me was we have to do all this group work,
Mm.
and we have to present, and everyone started, trying to get me in the group, even though I wouldn't know anything about the formulas we were writing or the engineering part of it. I was like, I'm so lost. But like, Keith, don't worry. We'll do all the work if you present. I was like, wow, there is a role for everybody in this world. And I love presenting. And I started to get up on stage or, present all of our projects. And I would do it in a fun, energetic way. And have you ever seen a rocket scientist present?
Yeah.
It's a little different. So, so I realized that there is a role for everybody in this world, and that kind of started me on that path of being, wow, if you just have this positive mindset and get up and kind of tell stories that and build relationships with the audience,
Mm.
that's the most important part. That the information really isn't as important as the relationship building and rapport building with the audience.
So yeah, so what you shared confidence, which is key. You said your parents gave you everything, nothing but everything, and the key thing was confidence. That, of course, helps in relationship building. That helps in public speaking. And the key message there, Keith, is the winning the day with life. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out.
No, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was just such a seminal moment in me. And I wanted to spread
Yeah.
that message with everybody that little things can really change your day and shift things in such a positive way.
Yeah.
And it only takes a few minutes to just make that mental shift.
Yeah. Great. Great. And so from there now you've developed, like, the book was something that came out. Was this something easy for you to write? I mean, it seems like your gems of wisdom that you're sharing in this is something that's just natural for you.
Yeah, so I wrote about 80% of this. I sat down and made a goal to write this book. And it's kind of funny because at the time I was watching, I don't know if you ever heard of the show, How I Met Your Mother. And I wanted to develop it like, and the premise of that show is that it's telling the story of this guy who, he's telling the story to his children about how he met his mother, and it's a long running series, but I wanted to tell the story of how to be successful in life to my son at the time and or children. At the time when I started writing it, I only had two, but then my third child was born during the writing of the book. So I wanted to write it as a guidebook, and I thought to myself, if I write how to be successful in life, like notes and just, a hack for my kids, and they're the only ones who ever read it. If nobody in the world ever reads it, but my kids actually read this, and if I'm ever gone from this face of the earth and they read it and they remember it and they use this as a learning tool, it will be well worth it. So that just inspired me. I sat down and I wrote about 80% of it in about, I'd say like 6 months span. And then I put it and I shelved it and I didn't do anything with it for about 2 years. Because of
I did
course,
the same. Yeah, I
yeah,
did the same. Yeah.
you always want to have it perfect. And it's like, and I'm like, after 2 years, I was like, why, what am I waiting on? Like, I need to launch this. I've got most of it there. It doesn't have to be perfect. So then I wanted to finish it. So I churned it out very quickly in about a 3 months process. I finished that last 20%, worked with an editor and got it in a publisher and then got it launched. And it really transformed my life because then start like I had schools and businesses and people asking me to come and speak to their teams or to their school about what I wrote in the book. And when I would get up on stage and speak to these people about my book, I was like, wow, this is awesome. I didn't even know that there was a niche or an opportunity to get up on stage, and I just loved it. And that's really where my speaking career was born out of writing the book.
That makes sense. And so, yeah, I realize your book is available on Amazon. So that's how I got my copy. And if anybody read this book, and like you said, businesses or schools, I could see them hiring you to speak. And yeah, if you don't mind, just for the audience here today, just so that they can I'm just going to skim a little bit on you. I'm not everything, but skim a little bit on the table of contents. At the impact of doing videos. So to me, the impact of doing, the impact of taking action, whatever your purpose is, and the impact of doing videos, of course, if you're a speaker, that aligns definitely. You got to build an audience, got to be known. So the impact of doing videos also, back when you did a video of me and you talked about like, I think it was my bike trip coming up in India. And I thought, wow, so he's adding value to my life too, because he's interviewing me. And so I'm getting exposure that way. So the impact of doing videos, I think, is a great one. If we can control our interpretations, we can control our world. Just that speaks a lot. Attitude of gratitude is not a secret. Uh, Perseverance is a gift. The ABC, always be curious. I love that. Success in life is figure outable. I love that. Figure outable. It's a word, right? It is figure out. The 10 words to change your life. So there's a lot here. And I want to kind of dive into I guess the first place I want to start, because I'm curious. I've always struggled with creating videos, even doing a podcast and consistency. So you must have had a lot of consistency. What did it take for you to like, and you're still doing it because I see all your videos, I see them in LinkedIn, I see them in all the social media. How were you able to keep that progress up? What are some of the things what were some of the struggles for anybody out there who wants to start maybe a YouTube channel or kind of get out there in a social media way? What advice would you give them?
I started off rough. I'll tell you that. It's about just reps, putting in time, and you're literally training your brain. I mean, our brain is thousands of years old, and our brain, what I learned is that it's there to protect us. So it's always looking for the negative things. It's always wanting the easiest path. Because that's what our brain does. It wants to take the easiest path in everything. But once you force it not to take the easy path and you keep building upon and building different habits, your brain starts to spread out and grow, and doing those habits becomes the easiest path. And that's what I learned is this. I would just make myself do a 1 minute video a day. I mean, you can come up with 1 minute worth of topics every single day. But in that process, what it forced me to do was to look for content to talk about. Unfortunately, my wife and kids were the ones I was always like, when I'd be talking, I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. Now I'm going to use that in my 1 minute video. And everyone around me is like, I don't want to be part of your experiment, Keith. Stop using me in your videos. But once you start making one video and then two videos and three videos, your brain starts looking for everyday mundane opportunities. I mean, it could be as simple as sitting in line at Starbucks and just watching the people around you and their reactions. And I get inspiration there. I see so many people. I could be in line at Starbucks, get frustrated because they got the wrong non-fat skim latte milk or whatever in their Starbucks, and they get frustrated and their whole day is ruined. And I'm like, you're at Starbucks. You're like, you've got a great car, you got a great job, you're alive, and like, why are you upset because the wrong latte milk was in there or whatever it may be? And it's just so, I don't say humorous, but it's fascinating to me that in today's day and age, we live such great lives. I mean, if you watch TV or you watch social media, people could think the world is about to end and we're like in the worst times ever. But we have like a higher quality of life than 99.99% of any human being to ever walk the face of this earth. It's crazy. But we spend so much time focusing on negative things. So my brain started noticing so many things around me and opportunities to express to the world how to change their perspective. And I realized it's just so much about perspective. And then I would do little experiments. Like if I saw you, Ryan, I was like, hey, nice shirt. You know, you could be like, is he making fun of my shirt?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
does he really like my shirt? Like you don't know what I'm doing. You don't know what I'm saying. And it's your perspective is gonna affect it. It'll affect our conversation for the next 5 minutes because you're thinking to myself, is he making fun of me? But if I was like, man, Ron, nice shirt. I mean, I said it in I said the exact same words. I just said it with a different tone to give you a different perspective. And the
Yeah.
way I say it shifts your perspective dramatically on our conversation and our relationship because you could be sitting there for you could be interpreting it incorrectly, thinking that I didn't like your shirt and being like, wow, what a jerk Keith is. Why is he making fun of my shirt? Or you could be like, wow, Keith's such a nice guy. He likes my shirt. Yeah, I'm glad he acknowledges that. But it's all in your interpretation of it. And I realize how
Yeah.
powerful, where we are in the world, we got so many powerful devices and so much social media, but it ultimately comes down to human communication. And it's
Mhm.
so easy to mess up human communication, so easy. But it's also just as easy to get it right. So it's like I
Right.
wanted to get it out there and inspire people to shift. Every day in my life when I encounter, I go through negative mindsets. In fact, if you ever talk to my kids, they're all whenever they're frustrating me, and it's normal. They upset me, and I start yelling, "Stop doing this! Why are you doing that? Stop fighting! Get out of there!" And then they're always like, "Oh, look at Mr. Positive over here yelling, and he's frustrated." So it's like they're always teaching me. But now, when things go wrong, if I'm stuck in traffic or if I'm in a long line at Starbucks, I'm always thinking to myself, okay, this is an obstacle, but what is it teaching me? How can I shift my perspective to be thankful? I can be thankful that I'm not the reason for the traffic jam. If you're in a traffic jam, then you go by finally after 40 minutes, you go by and you see the accident that caused it. You're like, wow, I'm so thankful that I'm not the reason for that traffic jam. It'll be fine that I'm 5 minutes late to wherever I'm going. So it's just those little mindset shifts and perspective learnings that I've had in my life, and that every day when something goes wrong, which everybody's life, things are going to go wrong. We're all going to face obstacles constantly and be putting out fires. Now, when those things happen, I'm always like, all right, what is this lesson that I can take away? How can I overcome this? And I'm thankful because when I look back, like I said, I thought the worst thing to ever happen to me in my life was when my son had to have open heart surgery, but it ended up being the greatest gift. It completely changed my life. It was the greatest gift I could have ever received because it shifted my perspective to just be thankful to have a son, to be thankful that he was alive. And then he forced me down this new path. But if I didn't go through that major obstacle, my life wouldn't have changed. And I couldn't then help other people change as well.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I think that's what it's all about. Sometimes the difficulties or the challenges in our life awaken us, which adds value to our life if we choose the way we wish to see it, you know. So at the same time, the difficulties that we may go through also put us in a perspective of being an influencer to the rest of the world because we've gone through something that was difficult, that was challenging, and we have an authentic voice in it, right? I've always been told, like, who would you go listen to finance? Somebody who was born with a silver spoon in their mouth and never had to work for it, or somebody who maybe went through bankruptcy, suffered, lost everything, maybe then recovered and figured out how, and then achieved that financial abundance status. It's the person that went through the challenge that really I believe you can relate to. So your situation of what you went through with your son, honestly, I'm sure it was extremely difficult, but really gives you the as a dad to your family, but also to those that you speak to in your career as a speaker, that actually helps touch them as well. So yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about, and this comes up a lot. So a lot of people are obviously upset about the world outside of themselves, whatever they see it on TV, what's going on, and they tend to a lot of frustration is going on. What can a person do? Because I know you speak a lot about gratitude, and I know and you speak a lot about performance because really, I think when it comes down to gratitude and performance, that's a choice that we can make, right? So what would you say to the person that's like, you know what, I'm watching all this stuff on TV. I'm little old me. I can't make a difference, but I'm frustrated about it. It's starting to mess up my energy or my life or whatever. It's so. What would you? How would you share words of wisdom to somebody that's going through that?
Well, yeah. First of all, it's true. Like the news and media is all designed because, like I said earlier, our brain notices negative things first because it's an old brain and it's there to protect us. It wants to protect you from going back to, way back in the day when there was a saber-toothed tiger, you had to notice the leaves being rustled because you didn't want to be eaten by that saber-toothed tiger. So your brain was there to notice the negative things, not the nice, easygoing sunset. So it's natural. And media, social media especially, has picked up on that and they want to feed us negative stuff because that's what grabs our attention first and foremost. So it's natural to think that the world is not as in good of a place as it's ever been, but it's the best it's ever been. But the easiest way to shift that, two simple ways. First and foremost, as you've touched on, gratitude. I feel gratitude is such a powerful force that it changes everything. And it's the fact of the matter is that our brains cannot hold two emotions or two differing thoughts simultaneously. We all think we're great multitaskers. We all think we can watch TV, surf social media, and still hold a conversation with our wife. But our wives will tell us that you're not really paying attention to me because you're just kind of flipping back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. While you think you're a great multitasker, your brain is just moving back and forth to those things fast. And we're getting faster at it. But it's proven scientifically that our brains can't hold two emotions or thoughts at the exact same time. So you literally cannot be angry and grateful at the exact same moment. So if you choose to be grateful for something, it literally squashes that anger or frustration. But at the same time, on the flip side, if you choose to dwell and be angry about something, then you're gonna squash any chance for gratitude. So if you have a choice, you're obviously going to choose. Once you train your brain to find the reasons to be grateful, which they're all around us, you start to see it and you start to go through this process. But you have to train. It's just like working out. Like I said earlier, whenever I face challenges in my day, which is normal, I always do, I get frustrated and angry. But then I think to myself, wait a minute, how can I shift this? And for me, it's been easy because I'm like, oh, this would be a great win it minute topic. I'm going to share this with my audience, how they can overcome it. So that's one way I've shifted it and coming up with ideas for videos. Number two, and I've found this to be a very powerful thing that isn't talked about enough, is serve. Whenever we get frustrated, anyone has the ability to serve other people. And once you volunteer or help somebody, and which we're all capable of, it's the greatest feeling. And you cannot be wallowing in your own frustration and self-pity when you're helping other people. I mean, and we talk about this all the time. Like if you give a gift to somebody, no matter how much, the person who gives the gift is always happier than the person receiving it. It's such a powerful thing. So if you ever cannot shake that frustration, just go and find a way to serve. Help somebody. Even just go cut your neighbor's grass or pick up a piece of garbage or just go the easiest thing in the world. Walk up to someone and compliment them and see how it changes their life. And it simultaneously makes you feel better. So gratitude, and if you just can't shift out of that, go serve. Find a way to serve and volunteer or help somebody else, and it really dramatically changes your life.
Wow, that's good words of wisdom. Yeah, and you're right about that being of service because it opens your heart. It makes you feel more connected not only to that other person, but you feel good about yourself for doing something. And there's so many different areas that we can serve. A lot of times people, get stuck in thinking like, okay, what do I do? Like there's so many different ways that we can serve. And maybe even serve relative to some skill that you already have.
Yeah.
Just like you're called to be a speaker because that's a natural skill within you.
Yeah, you don't have to go volunteer to soup kitchen, which people think, oh, that's what I'll do is I'll volunteer, but then they get caught up in going to find a soup kitchen or finding a volunteer or finding
Yeah,
a charity that needs their help. But you don't need to even go that far. I mean, it could be just as simple as when you're sitting in line at the grocery store, complimenting the cashier who's probably just getting beat down left and right with
yeah,
negativity, like let's hurry up. Most people are like, oh, what's this? And it's all negative. If you're like, wow, you're doing a great job. Thank you so much. I appreciate you doing that with a smile. It changes their life. One positive thing can then flush out the 10 negative things that people
yeah.
feel and hear on any given day.
I agree. Yeah. So yeah, the soup kitchen is a good thing for those people out there doing that. I think that's a wonderful thing. And there's so many other ways, but just kindness, like you shared,
Yeah.
just that random act of kindness, the cashier, the person that you would come across, the compliment, the the ways that we can uplift other people around us, that at our own microcosm of our own little universe or bubble of how we can affect people. I agree with you. That's a great way to, because sometimes we're so entrained to be in our mind and we're thinking about the next thing that we walk through that grocery store line and we don't even pay attention. We didn't even say hello. We didn't even recognize their name or their name tag, like things that are important. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's a way of serving that maybe I didn't even think about, but thank you for sharing that. That's such an easy thing that we can bring more attention into that has a great
I
effect.
always, I don't know if there's, I think it was Zig Ziglar said, like,
Yeah.
your attitude is contagious, but
Hmm.
be careful because it's yours worth catching. And that always stuck with me because, I mean, just imagine you walk through that car line or Chick-fil-A line or Starbucks and you just compliment that cashier who's having a rough time where people are mad or angry, it's not going fast enough, and you infect them with your positive energy, and then maybe they infect eight more people and it changes. It's like a ripple effect. And that's
Yep.
the I feel like you can completely change things around you by infecting others around you with that positive energy. And it's natural to you, even if the most negative person in the world, if you just get in and compliment them or help them in any way, they get infected with that and it changes things. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I remember you speaking about you used the word a logarithm
Yeah.
that just like in social media, how two different people can have different things in their feed, right? Based on our technology being so smart today that if we're constantly like researching dog food or maybe even hears us talking about dog food, the ads of dog food are going to come up, right? Where another person, whatever their thing is. And so you use that analogy as how also we can take that into life, right? About by purposely shifting our awareness, I guess, that things yeah, the logarithm of life. I don't know if I said it correctly, but you shared a little bit about that. And I thought that was a genius message that you gave.
Yeah, I mean, our brains have the original algorithm in it. And nowadays, that's the most powerful thing. People will say that all the time, like on Facebook or TikTok or YouTube, especially. They'll be like, well, I don't know, is this algorithm that powerful? And then, then all of a sudden they'll talk about how it can change elections or it changes the world. Like, well, it's a powerful algorithm and it changes our thought process because it's feeding us more of what we're interested in. But our brain does the exact same thing. Our brain has the original algorithm in it because what you pay attention to, it feeds you more of. And that I think I touched upon my favorite thing in the world is called the reticular activating system, RAS. And I give the example of how, when my children were older and we had to get a minivan, and my wife's like, hey, we need to go test drive a minivan. I thought about a minivan. Nobody drives a minivan. They're so uncool. Who wants to drive a minivan? And then all of a sudden, I test drive this minivan, feeling sorry for myself. The next day, I'm looking around. I'm like, wow, there's minivans at the gym. There's minivans at Starbucks. There's minivans all over the freeway. There's a lot of minivans out there. Maybe they're not that uncool. But then I read about reticular activating system. I realized No, it was just that now my brain was noticing the minivans. There wasn't more minivans on the road that day as opposed to the day before I test drove. It's just that now my brain was turned on to it and started to notice them all around me. And same thing with our brains. If you train it to be negative and you're always frustrated and you're like, oh, there's 5 people in front of me at this line. Why me? Or I hit this red light. Like, this isn't unfair. My life is so unfair. Then you're going to find reasons to be frustrated and to be angry and to be like, this is unfair. But on the flip side, if you train it to always look for positive things or opportunities, your brain starts to notice opportunities more. When you're at the stoplight, you're like, oh, I'm at the stoplight. Now I can have 2 minutes to text my friend to see how they're doing, or I can find a new podcast that's going to inspire me on this long drive. And this is an opportunity instead of being frustrated. And that's the biggest thing for me is that I've noticed once I train my brain to look for the opportunities, your brain starts to find them more because it's just like that algorithm on YouTube or TikTok or Facebook or whatever it may be that once you pay attention to things, more of them come into your feed. So we got to realize that, not to get too scientific, but our brain's algorithm can actually be trained to look for those things. And if you want to look for reasons to be grateful, you want to look for opportunities, you want to look for positivity, you'll find more of it. But on the same side, if you're watching the news and you're like, wow, this world is terrible. Holy cow, this is so unfair. Why am I hitting this stoplight? Why am I in this traffic? Why do I have to wait for 6 people in front of me at Starbucks? Then you're going to wallow in that negativity and always be looking for it also.
Yeah. So do you have any practice that you recommend in, you know, to people that you coach or some of the messages that you give, like a gratitude journal, or what are some of the things that you might say are some of the things that you might recommend to an individual to try to intentionally bring this into their life?
Yeah. I mean, shifting that mindset to gratitude. How is this an opportunity for
Yeah.
me? If you're stuck in line at Starbucks, instead of constantly looking at your phone and checking the time or being frustrated, just say something nice to the person in front of you. Hey, like I really like that shirt. Hey, what are you thinking about getting? Just strike up a conversation and you'll be amazed how that completely changes your mindset and to really, really focus on the fact that your attitude is so contagious. I mean,
Mhm.
the human brain is meant to mimic other people. And it's like you don't realize how powerful we all are. And I tried this experiment because I read out, if you ever seen like a baby and everyone's like goes goo goo gaga and they laugh and try to make a baby laugh and then the baby laughs at them and they're like, oh, it's so funny. I made the baby laugh. And you're like, ultimately, no, you're not funny. The baby just mimics you. So if you're giggling and laughing at a baby, it's our natural tendency to, as humans, to mimic other people. And that's how
Mhm.
we're wired. So at the same time, if you come in with positive energy and compliment people, their natural energy is to mimic you and do the same thing. And if you ever, ever, ever didn't believe that, I mean, honestly, Ron, try this tomorrow when you walk into the restaurant or the store. If it's in the afternoon, just walk, first person you walk in and be like, "Good morning," and what do
Mm.
you think they're gonna say back to you?
Oh yeah, they're gonna
They
have
say
that
good
same
morning.
excite.
It
The
could be
same
3 in the afternoon,
excitement.
but you say good morning and they just mimic you naturally. Like, oh yeah, good morning. Like, wait a minute, it's not morning. But they have to say that. Or if you smile at someone, people have to smile back at you. It's like, if you ever yawn and people yawn, it's not that
Yeah.
you're making them tired. It's just that the human body is meant to mimic those around you. And I think that's what happens a lot too, is that we do get caught in a negative cycle of complaining. And I mean, I'm guilty of it too. You walk up to your friend group, oh, what's going on? Oh my God, I had to get my car fixed, and it was like they tried to charge me $800, but I knew it was only $400, so I got an argument. And then I'm thinking to myself, oh yeah, you know what happened to me the other day? And then you try to tell them, and you try to one up the complaint department, and it's
You
just
want
natural.
Yeah. No, I've seen that. I've done that.
Oh yeah,
You one up the complaint department, and it's being conscious of, okay, let's take a pause. Let's shift this conversation. Let's not, let them be heard, because obviously people want to be heard, but then maybe say something that might bring in a more positive response. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's so easy. I mean, we have so much control over the world around us. And if we just, I mean, we can literally change the world by changing our mindset. If you get in a more grateful, positive way, you can then affect those around you, and those people then affect those people, and down and down down the line. And it's such an amazing ripple effect that we don't realize how powerful we can have. And like I said earlier, if you're frustrated and angry and you just want to feel like you want to change not only you, change somebody else's day. Walk up to them and just compliment them, and it makes you feel better. But then think to yourself, wow, now that person's probably going to go compliment one other person, and it's going to have a ripple effect, and it can change people's lives. And it's just such simple stuff out there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great words of wisdom. I really appreciate all that. I would say we have to get on the show again because there's just so much I would love to ask you. There's, yeah, if you could just shed the light on perseverance is a gift. Uh, Tell me, without going into the whole chapter, that's chapter 6, but perseverance is a gift. That means that just to keep going. What would you share to the audience around that?
I mean, perseverance is ultimately a muscle. And if you have faith based at all, like my favorite Bible quote is about, consider it pure joy when you face obstacles because it builds perseverance. And perseverance is building inside of you. And ultimately, anything that we do is we can be successful at anything if we just keep working at it. And that's all I was going to say is, I mean, I grew up in a small town in Wisconsin, and I now live in Orlando, Florida, because I just kept moving forward and always showing up. Showing up is like 95% of the battle. If you
Hmm.
just keep showing up, it's amazing. But ultimately, like even when I go for, let's say I try to go to the gym. If you're trying to go for the gym, most people, let's say after New Year's, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the gym," and then they're like, "Wait a minute, I don't have a perfect time today. I didn't have my clothes. I'm feeling a little tired. I'll go tomorrow. Oh man, I didn't get a good night's sleep, or I got a lunch today. I'll go on Thursday." But the most important time to go to the gym and work out is when you don't feel like it. Even if you go for 8 minutes and you just do like a little bit. If you only have 8 minutes, go to the gym, do that 8 minute workout, because you're creating in your brain and in your body a habit of showing up. And you and in your head, you're like, hey, I'm consistent. I go to the gym every day, even if it's for 10 minutes. So the most important workout you can do is that crappy workout for 10 minutes is way more important than doing that 1 hour workout when you feel good and you have a wide open schedule. Like, all right, I'm gonna go do a good workout today because I feel good. I had a good night's sleep. I had a good breakfast. Now I can go. But it's way better to go on the days you don't want to because you're shifting and you're building perseverance. And it's literally like a muscle. The more you overcome things, the more your brain and your body then becomes, you create that identity in your head of, I'm someone that perseveres through, and I keep fighting and I keep showing up, and you create that identity, and your brain always wants to follow the identity that you're creating.
So perseverance creates an identity and also good habits, or a habit of following through.
Absolutely. It's the most important thing. And it's like, you know, the most people, I mean, I'm so amazed. Think about if you had, I don't know if you can ride a bike, Ron, I
Yeah.
assume you do, but if you never rode a bike in your life, and I was like, hey, let's go try to ride this bike, you would probably try it 2 or 3 times and you'd fall and be like, I can't do it, I'm done. But we see kids, and going back to my ignorance is bliss all the time when I teach my kids how, when I first was teaching them to ride a bike, they'd fall 9, 10, 15 times, but they didn't know any different. So they just
Mm.
kept getting up and going. And then all of a sudden, the 16th time, you don't know which one, but the 16th time, they ride away. But as adults, I mean, would you ever do something 16 times in a row failing at it? Or what do you think the average adult, we quit after failing 3 times at most things. I mean, it's like if you tried skiing, when you fall 5, 6, 7 times, like, I'm done. I quit. I can't do it. I can't ski. but it may be the eighth, the ninth, 10th time. And so I always admire that. And that's the biggest thing I think having kids in my life has taught me is that kids don't know any better. They're kind of like blank slates and they just keep doing it. And you're like, wow, they finally hit it. I mean, and if I had to learn how to do a flip, I don't think I could do a flip in my life right now because I'd be like, that's too dangerous. But kids, they can learn how to do a flip with proper training because they're not thinking about falling on their face and they fail and fail and fail and fail. And then all of a sudden, it works. Like
Hmm.
we would never, ever, as adults, do anything. And the average human being, when you fail at something 3 times in a row, we quit. But sometimes it can take 8, 9, 10 times.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. I think as adults, we start to give up too soon. If we're not seeing the result we want, um, quit after 3 times and then go down to Starbucks and complain about what's in our latte.
Yeah. Yep.
But so we're speaking, a lot of people that watch this podcast are speakers or they're creators. Some of them have written a book or they're stuck in writing their book. Maybe they started or don't even know where to begin. Because of what you've done with the video a day, the angle you took, the fact that you shared your honesty, like say, hey, I got to a point where 2 years I put it on a shelf. Um, Around that idea of what you just shared about keep moving forward and also the energy of gratitude and being somebody that regardless of what it is, right? Whether we're in leadership, we're in sales, we're a speaker, we're writing a book, we're creating something. Sometimes we have something inside of ourselves that wants to quit. What do you speak to that person that really needs to push themselves when they're just stuck? They're just feeling like overwhelmed, or maybe they're not getting the support from their friends or family members. Sometimes that happens. We've had people, sometimes their family just says, give it up, get a regular job or whatever. What do you say to that individual that, is struggling with that?
I think ultimately everyone is a reflection more of their own thoughts
Mhm.
than they are of you. So I've come to realize that when someone tells you like, oh, Mr. Positive over here, that's easy for you to say because you've had a positive life. And I'm thinking to myself, no, I've gone through those same obstacles and challenges, but it's ultimately those people are reflecting their own thoughts and it has nothing to do with you. And like I said, if I came up to you and I said, Ron, nice shirt. If I was in a bad mood, I might want to do that because it makes me feel better by putting you down. And
Mhm.
often that's one of the tactics. Like you can lift others up, or I read I think it was Gary Vaynerchuk was telling a great story about there's 2 ways to build the biggest building in town. Number one, you can just work at it, build it piece by piece by piece, and just, work every single day trying to stack them up, stack them up. And the other way, knock all the other buildings down. And you see that so often, people do that. If they're not feeling good about themselves or they're not in a good mood, it's way easier to put the people around them down to make
Mm.
them feel better than it would be for them to just make themselves feel better. I mean, if I were to go in this gratitude and be like, oh, I'm so thankful that I'm meeting Ron for a coffee today, and I'll be like, hey, Ron, nice shirt. I love that shirt. It's like it changes everything as opposed to me putting you down to make me feel to rise up. But it is such a habit and training every single day. And when I have to look for reasons to make a video, it causes me to look at the world differently. I mean, if you went to my YouTube channel and went way back to the beginning and saw my first 5, 10 videos, I can't even watch them to this day. They're so cringeworthy. They're so bad. But I love it. I couldn't watch them, and I don't recommend you watching them. But the point is that it was 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 videos. I was just churning them out, making them. And little by little, I was stacking little things and getting a little bit better. And maybe I learned one little thing making this video, one little thing making that video. But if you were to judge me off my first 30 videos, you'd be like, this guy is brutal. And those videos are brutal. Trust me, they're brutal. But I love looking at that to see you just have to, everything you do, you build perseverance and stack and grow and little by little. And if you ever have to think about, if you want to write a book, just write for 10 minutes a day. Everyone can just write for 10 minutes a day. And the greatest example I always like to say is like, what's more important? Brushing your teeth twice a day or waiting till the end of the month and brushing them 60 times. It's like, no, just brushing your teeth twice a day it's so much easier and better for you. Any dentist will tell you, brush your teeth 2 times a day, or maybe three, I don't know, 2 times a day, but you can't just wait till the end of the day and at the end of the month and be like, all right, I'm gonna brush it 60 times today, and that's gonna make up for the 29 days that I didn't. No,
Yeah,
little things every day stack up and beat doing big things every single day.
I agree. Brushing your teeth every day as opposed to waiting to the end of the month and doing 60 times a day
Yeah.
is better for you. It's better for the people around you too.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So Keith, this has been awesome. I really appreciate your enthusiasm, these gems of wisdom. Like I said, we're gonna have to have you back on because there's a lot more content in that book, a lot more that I've heard you share from the stage. As I wrap up, how do people find you? Like if they want to be able to book you to speak, what is your website?
Win it minute. So again, it's all about my original thesis was to put out a 1 minute video a day to help people win the day, shift their mindset. So it's win it minute. And my website's winitminute.com. Any social media platform that you're on, trust me, I am on, whether it be YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook,
Yeah,
X, Twitter. It's Win It Minute. Just find Win It Minute and you're going to
nice.
find me.
So yeah, so if they don't have to look for Keith Graveldinger, they can just go win it minute and they can find you. And I would recommend that to everybody listening to this because if you want a social media friend to be connected with that's going to share positive messages, deep messages, important things that are like life hacks that we can all practice and bring into our life to raise our vibration in the world. This is a person I know that shares great content. So social media, win it minute, website winitminute.com. If you
Yeah,
want,
Ron, I respect your audience way too much and make them have to search Graveldinger. So I always make
yeah.
it easier to Win It Minute.
Well, win it minute. I think is catchy. It really is. On You can buy this on your website or on Amazon or to get the
Yes,
book.
both, both. Yep. I mean, obviously, Amazon's always the easiest, but yeah, you can find it on winitminute.com as well.
Excellent. And then any last thing that you want to share that you feel that would be a great message to leave the audience with?
Again, gratitude and realizing the power of rewiring your brain
Mm,
because the algorithm is out there, and once you start to work at it, it really changes your life. And really, the biggest message I'd love to share with everyone is that like your attitude and your mindset is so contagious. And you just got to realize, are you using it properly? And once you start working at it and rewiring yourself, you'll be amazed at the ripple effect of things around you. And if anyone struggles with finding something to be positive about every day, go to the Win a Minute. I come up with a new idea in less than a minute a day. Simple shifts like that. So
Keith Graveldinger, thank you so much for being on the show today. Powerful message. I think it's a lot of good information that you shared today, and I really, really appreciate your time.
my pleasure. Thank you,
Thank
Ron.
you.
Appreciate it.
All right.